Well, good morning to our guests. Good morning to the class of 2015. A special welcome to our CASAs, civilian aides, the Secretary of the Army, general officers who are here today, our elected officials. You grace us with your presence, and thank you. A hearty Carlisle welcome to a family and friends of these graduates, as well as these distinguished visitors. What a superb day, not only in terms of the weather, which is spectacular, but superb because of the significance of the achievements of these students who've excelled in a tough but vitally important and relevant program here at the Army War College. This class exemplifies grit, determination, and professionalism. My thanks to you for your great attitude and effort over the past 24 months, and to the faculty and staff of the U.S. Army War College for your professionalism and skill as mentors and teachers. Being the gold standard for strategic leader education and idea development comes from having a world-class faculty, and I thank you. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our graduation speaker, a soldier who for over 35 years has exemplified the skills and attributes which we all aspire to as strategic leaders. John Maynard Keynes once challenged an audience that, "I change my opinion when the information changes. What do you do?" In a world of ever-increasing velocity of change, being able to demonstrate that mental agility, creative leadership, and moral courage has been the hallmark of General Dave Perkins. Decades into the future, the famed Thunder Run of 2nd Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division in Baghdad in the spring of 2003 will be studied and held up as an example of bold, courageous, and highly decisive action. And since becoming the commander of U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command in March 2014, General Perkins has been tireless in his efforts to transform the force, not just in form, but in ability to think creatively and be agile in the face of a highly complex security environment. His steady leadership of soldiers, from the platoon level up to the highest levels of our Army, has been remarkable in these turbulent times. He truly exemplifies Army strong, and it is my great honor to introduce to you General Dave Perkins.
Well, good morning to you all. General Rapp, Command Sergeant Major, Dean, Provost, faculty members, CASAs, local officials, fellow general officers, friends, family, guests, and of course to the graduates. It is an honor to be able to share this day with you, this very important day, not only in the life of the soon-to-be graduates, but really in the history of the United States Army War College. As General Rapp said, can't have a better day with regards to the setting, this beautiful setting in this historic post, beautiful weather. It really is a happy day. In fact, you hear that as you come into ceremonies like this. It's a happy day, it's a big day. You couldn't have a better set of circumstances. The future is all yours. And so, a good day to sort of, kind of sit back and take it all in and be happy. Well, actually, there's been a lot of studies done on happiness, and there are things that produce happiness and some that don't, and some of it is intuitive and some is not. But one of the greatest contributors to happiness is gratitude. The ability to have gratitude and the ability to display gratitude. And so, to the soon-to-be graduates out there, I want to ensure that you are as happy as you can be today. So, on the count of three, since in the military we do everything on the count of three, what I want you to do is stand up and give a round of applause and show gratitude to the staff, the faculty, family, friends, people from the chain of command, the salute battery, the people that set up the chairs here, the band, all the people that have spent all their energy to get you here today. Here's your chance to show gratitude to them. So on the count of three, stand up and give them a round of applause. 1, 2, 3. All right, you can be seated. You are now truly happy. And for those of us here, it's great to see your earnest displayed gratitude. I was talking to the leadership here, saying, okay, so kind of run me through what these soon-to-be graduates have gone through and in the phases and where they are. They say, well, sir, it's like this 2-year program, and then there was a residency part last summer. They're just completing the residency part here. We had DL portions of it. We had interactive seminars, and so it's really this blended model, both of sort of a distance aspect to it and a resident aspect to it, and there's phases, like all things in the military. There are phases, and then today is the final phase here of the objective. Well, and what we are doing is we are developing strategic leaders. I mean, that's the mission of the United States Army War College, is to develop strategic leaders. And we are very lucky as a nation, as an Army, to have an institution like this that focuses on that, on the leadership required to operate at the strategic level. Well, as the doctrine guy in the Army, I sort of pay attention to doctrine, and as the Army does, we tend to have doctrine for things that we think are important. And we really think that leadership is important, and so, no surprise, we have doctrine for it. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, ADP 622. Its title is Leadership. And it's all leadership. We don't say, well, here's a manual for tactical leadership, here's a manual for operational leadership, here's a manual for strategic leadership. There are different applications of it and different things you take into account, but there are some universalities here. And so we are focusing on making you strategic leaders. So I just want to kind of review what it is we expect of leaders. Well, we have, if you open the manual, I'm sure you all have read extensively, there's really 2 parts of it. There's personal attributes and competencies. And we divide leadership into those. And then in the personal attributes are kind of in the category of be and know. What we want you to be, what we want you to know. We want you to be intellectual. We want you to be adaptive. We want you to be innovative. We want you to know how to be a warrior. We want you to know the skills of your trade, etc., like that. And then there are the competencies, which are the do part. And those all start, for you English majors out there, with a verb. We want you to build teams. We want you to lead from the front. We want you to get results. We want you to establish esprit de corps. We want you to improve others. Well, just as there are kind of the 2 parts of leadership, attributes and competencies, they kind of get developed, although sometimes simultaneously, we have to make sure that we don't separate them too much. Now, in professional military education realm that you are in and you are completing, we do tend to focus a lot on the personal attributes, what we want you to be and know, what we want you to know about strategy, what we want you to be with regards to a critical thinker, a display warrior ethos. It's kind of all about you, okay? And then today we are shortly going to certify you that you know what you need to know with regards to the attributes we deemed essential, in this case at the strategic level of leadership. And you're going to walk across the stage here. We're going to give you a diploma. You will get that credential. You can hang on your wall. You can look on your ORB. You'll get Mel 1 qualified, senior service college, etc., like that. So you'll be fully credentialed, according to us, that you know what are the attributes you have to be a leader at the strategic level. But I told you there's 2 parts. There's the personal attributes and there's the competencies. Now, every year in the Army, we send out a survey, the CASL, from the Center for Army Leadership, and we ask people in the Army, you need to grade us on our leadership as an Army. How are we doing as an Army? And it goes from specialists E4 to colonels. So I don't get one anymore. They don't ask my input. But from E4 to colonel, we assess, you tell us about how the Army, how we're doing. And so they fill out the forms and they send it back to us, etc. Last year we had about 30,000 respondents, officer, non-commissioned officer, warrant officer, active, guard, and reserve, E4 to colonel, saying, I'm going to grade the Army on leadership. And we take a look at it and do a lot of analysis, and then we say, well, what are we going to sustain, what are we going to improve, and make changes to the War College, make changes to basic training, make changes to our doctrine, etc. At the very end of it, though, there's actually one of the most interesting pieces to that. And it said, one of it, we asked people, describe for me, sort of in your own words, the best leader you've ever worked for. Just describe for me the best leader you work for. Now, I am fully aware that everybody in the Army doesn't know everything you know. And they probably don't know maybe that we even have a doctrinal manual on leadership, and that we divide leadership into attributes and competencies, and we have these different bins, everything like that. They do know who their best leader was. They just don't know we've thought about it as much as we have, and that we've been it in these categories. So that makes actually the feedback all that more interesting to me, because when they give us the feedback, what do you think? The vast majority of the feedback comes in the category when they describe the best leader, tactical, operational, strategic, when they describe their best leader, the vast majority of the feedback we get, it is in the category of competencies. What do they do? Now, you need to understand, because what have we been grading you on the last 2 years? What you know. And what they're saying is, we know there's a threshold level that you have to know, your expertise, you have to know about strategy and all that. But what they are really interested in, hey, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, colonel, whatever, can you take these personal attributes that we have spent years developing you, and can you array them in time and space and do something with them? Because if you read our competencies, the do is lead from the front, lead others, develop others. They don't really care if you're the smartest guy in the unit. They want to know, are you helping me get better? They don't want to care if you are the most innovative person in the unit. They want to know, are you helping the rest of the unit get innovative? They don't care if you really like what you're doing. Are you building esprit de corps in the unit? That's what they're looking at. And so this first part of our ability to make you strategic leaders really did focus on your personal attributes. And you were graded on it. And you had a resident phase, and you had a non-resident phase, and you submitted papers, and papers were provided with feedback, etc., like that. And you got a grade, and it appears that most of you that walked through the stage here passed. Okay, and we are going to certify you. We are going to certify you and give you a diploma, give you a certificate. We'll annotate it on your official records. But now, the second part is can you take these attributes we have given you and array them in time and space and do something with them? Can you display some competencies? Okay? And that part, there is no non-resident phase to that. That will be a completely resident phase in the unit you're going to when you go back from here. And the people that are going to grade your paper are not the great faculty, the world-class faculty at the Army Warfighting College. The people that are going to grade your paper are the people that work for you. And they are going to grade your paper every single day. So if you thought 2 years for the War College was a long time, the second phase, when your graders grading your competency, it is for the rest of your career, every single day, resident phase. So I don't want to hear any more complaining about how long this first phase was of 2 years. That's nothing. The rest of your career is phase 2, the competency phase. And you get graded every single day. There are no buys, okay? And there's no cut and paste. You can't look up the answer on Wikipedia, okay? It's all you. And don't think it's not happening, okay? One of the greatest examples of that, in 7 April in 2003, there was an infantry unit attacking into Baghdad, and a small element of it was surrounded. About 40 Americans and about 300 or 400 enemy. 30 American soldiers surrounded about 300 or 400 enemy, surrounded. There was a young private first class who was severely wounded there that day. And there was an embedded media with him. And that embedded media has running around with the camera on their shoulder, as you would see, sort of combat camera footage, firefights going on. Now you have to understand it was a very bad sandstorm, so there was no medevac. All medevac was grounded, and there was going to be no ground medevac. And so this soldier was going to have to be treated just right there. It's happened to be under a bridge abutment, just with his buddies, with, buddy aid and whatever medical supplies they had at the time. And he was severely injured with multiple gunshot wounds. And there was not going to be any medevac, and so what was going to happen there. And so a lot was going on, and this embedded camera crew comes over to him and kind of puts a camera in his face. Now, like I said, there's lots of different ways to credential people. If you look on the world-class faculty we have here and others, they'll have Professor so-and-so, BA from this college, MS from here, PhD, all kinds of credentials on there. But as a former chief of staff of the Army said so well, in the Army, soldiers are our credentials. And this soldier knew it very well, and so they put the camera up into his face. He's severely wounded. There's not going to be a medevac. And there's probably a lot of things he could have said at that time. He could have said, I'm so-and-so, I went to this high school, I went to this college, go blue, whatever, various things that sort of lend themselves to a level of credentialing. And he kind of took a deep breath as he was being worked on by his buddies. He kind of sat up and he said, leaving on attribution, he says, Private so-and-so, Bravo Company 123 Infantry, who and laid his head down and was silent from then on. And what he was saying is, if I say nothing else in my life, the last words I want to utter is I want to tell you how I'm credentialing myself. I want to tell you how I grade myself. And I want to tell you what's most important to me, and that's my leaders, the other soldiers in my unit. That's how I define myself. That's how I know that I've done something worthwhile, because I am in a unit where soldiers do lead from the front. I'm in a unit where leaders do develop others. They do display esprit de corps. They do get results. And so that's the message he wanted to give to the world, that, you know what, I've been in this unit X amount of time. I've been grading them on this resident phase of leadership every single day. And if I'm about to die, what I want to do is I want to grade their paper. And you know what? They passed. In fact, not only they passed, they're the honor grad. And so you need to keep that in your mind as you move on to the second part of your ability to develop yourself as a strategic leader, the resident phase, now taking these attributes that the United States Army War College has given you, turning them into competencies, and understand every single day your folks are grading your paper. And God forbid you ever get in the situation where the people you're grading your paper only have about 10 minutes left in their life to give you a grade. But if they did, every day you should say, I wonder what my grade is today. Congratulations, and God bless.